Hey everyone, I'm Mike Settele, founder of Settele Tutoring, and in this lesson I'm going to talk about what you need to do to get an 800 perfect score in the SAT math sections. So let me start by saying that this is extremely difficult to do. It is slightly easier to do than getting an 800 in the reading section, but even people who are math geniuses in school cannot accomplish this goal because they are not thinking about the SAT math in the right way. So my advice here is that this is not a real goal to have. If you are scoring about 750 or better on the practice test, then yes, watch this video and try your best to do what I talk about to really boost that score and give yourself the best chance of getting an 800. But if you've already taken an SAT and you've locked in a 760, 770, what are you doing? Why are you retaking the SAT? You do not need to be focused on getting an 800 in math. You've already got a great score that every college is going to be very, very happy for. So don't let this goal drive you crazy. Some of you math-brained people really want this number, but it's just not possible for everyone. And the best way to think about it is that there is luck involved. Sometimes you just get a question you can't solve or you run out of time. But let's talk about things to memorize, strategize about, and well, I'll answer the obvious question of how many you're allowed to get wrong to get an 800 on the SAT math. So starting with memorization, everything needs to be memorized confidently, perfectly, no hesitation for any topic. So watch my videos on what it takes to get a 600, a 700, a 750. That basically covers everything. But yes, anything that could appear on the test, you need to have confidently memorized. You can't be looking at a question and be like, oh, wait, what's the slopes of perpendicular lines again? Are they negatives? Are they negative reciprocals? You can't do any of that. You've got to know it instantly. Perfect recall needs to happen in seconds. And that also means that you can't be wondering about certain formulas. So that gets to the strategy more than anything. We need to be able to be very, very efficient with which strategies we use. So yes, we're going to plug points into equations. We're going to arithmetize. We're going to go to Desmos. We're going to try to find the most efficient strategy to get through that question as fast as possible. Now, when you're taking practice tests or doing practice questions, you might solve something and be very happy with yourself for having solved a hard question. But did you solve it in the most efficient way? A lot of times, no. And then when we get to the real test and we see questions we've never seen before, we are startled when we get to a question that slows us down too much and we don't think about the efficiencies that we could have used on other questions to give us more time for that one. So the best thing to do there is whenever you take a practice test, don't just watch my videos for the questions you get wrong. Watch my video for every single medium difficulty and hard difficulty question, even if you got it right confidently. See if you got it the most efficient way. Because if you can save yourself 20 seconds, that might be the difference between getting an 800 and not, because it gives you more time to solve some of those really, really hard ones that take like 4 minutes to solve. There will be one or two of those, so you need every second you can get. I also think that efficiency comes from being able to instantly identify the relevant topic, right? So there are certain clue words that they use in questions that really get me into a certain topic right away. So for example, if they're talking about the number of solutions, I know that I'm probably going to use the discriminant, especially if it is a quadratic equation. So I'm right into that. I don't have to hesitate. I know exactly how that formula works. I can write it down on my scratch paper and get right to work with it. So you've got to be able to do that. That's the same thing for like complicated geometry questions, right? If they have some picture and I can connect two dots and suddenly I drew a triangle, I know to do that without hesitating because I know that there are a lot of relevant topics for triangles. So if I see a 30-degree angle, I'm going to be thinking about 30, 60, 90 triangles without any hesitation. So the hard questions in the SAT are not necessarily hard topics. They are the easy, medium difficulty topics just combined and smushed together in ways that you've never seen before. So if your way of getting good at math is just memorizing routines and processes and steps, that's not going to be good enough for the SAT. You need to be flexible and clever. You need to be able to look at something that you've never seen before and instantly identify the 2 or 3 topics that are involved. That's a very hard thing to do, and that's why people who are really good at math in school struggle on the SAT. They don't have that flexibility. So how many can you get wrong to get an 800? Well, we know the answer to this. 0 for both sections, right? Now, there is a little bit of a caveat to this in that sometimes we might be able to get a question wrong if it is one of the pre-test experimental questions. There are 2 questions in each module, including the hard module, that do not count for your score. But they're not labeled. There's nothing distinguishing about them. They just blend in with everything else. So you will never know until maybe at the end when you get your score back, if you know you got a question wrong, but you still got an 800, odds are good it was one of those ones that doesn't count. So if you take a practice test and you get something wrong and you still get an 800, that might be why, but we cannot count on that. So we are going to have to try our best to get every single hard question right. We can't just assume it's weird. If it's weird, it's not a real question. We have to be able to do it. So my advice here for pacing is we need to make sure we are getting all the easy and medium questions right very confidently and very quickly. So that means, especially in the hard module, you cannot spend more than 14 minutes on the first 14 questions. Ideally, it's even less than that. So we want to be at less than a minute a question for those things. That's going to leave us about 2 minutes per question for everything else, numbers 15 to 22. And like I said before, some of these questions will take you 4 minutes, so you're going to have to make up time in other places. But if you have that beginning part of the section really mastered, you've mastered the middle set of difficulty questions, then you'll be able to fly through that without losing any accuracy, and then have all the time you need to tinker with those hard ones. But just remember, like I said, 800 is not a really reasonable goal. There is luck involved. You might just hit something that you do not understand. You might make a mistake somewhere. Being perfect is very, very difficult. Even if you are really good at math, you're going to be tired, you're going to be frustrated, you're going to be stressed. So don't beat yourself up if you end up with a 790 or 780. No college cares. It's an amazing score. At this point, though, hopefully you've learned everything you need to know for the test. If you have other comments about specific topics or other things to get this 800, please put them in the comments. But my advice here is, if you are really trying to refine your process to a point where you're close to perfect, go to my channel homepage, look at the walkthrough videos I have for the practice tests. You will see me taking practice tests 4, 5, and 6 for the first time, never having seen the questions, and you can watch as I go through them how I very quickly identify which topics are going to be important for the question, which formulas to use. You'll see me use my scratch paper, the calculator, all sorts of things. That is a great way to maybe refine your process and see where you can be a little faster and maybe save enough time to get to all of those hard questions. Hopefully this helps. Once again, I'm Mike Settele, founder of Settele Tutoring. And remember, when it comes to your scores, don't settle for less, Settele for more. Thanks for watching.